A couple of things today. First of all, if your name's Evan, there's a good chance you could play offensive line for us. All right, so we were pulling Evan Heim off of NFI, so he'll be out there today. He's ready to go. We'll monitor him today just to make sure he's good. But he'll work in a little bit individual, and Hank will keep an eye on him. But just to get him going, he's ready to go. And then Evan Boehm is ready to go today too. He's cleared. His protocol and physical, all that. So we gained 2 linemen, which is good. So they'll be out there. Other than that, pads start tomorrow. Not today. That was, the league mandated that you can't do that until you can't start pads until 2 days after the first day off. So, but this will be good. This today will be very much like last week was. Knowing they're coming off a day off, it'll be pretty crisp. 2-hour practice. And then tomorrow we're rolling. Questions?
And all eyes, obviously, early on Jeff Okudah, and rightfully so. You seen from Amani on the other side, it seems he's been pretty steady all the way through. Just your early evaluation of him.
Yeah, I would say I've been pleased. I know Okudah gets a lot of attention from for where he was drafted and the talent level and all those things, and he is improving. But Amani is just quietly getting better over there and doing his job, and I've been encouraged with him. He's a great kid too, man. Golly, I should say young man. He eats it up too. He's a football junkie. He's learning. He's growing. You can see his confidence. He understands his own ability and what he can do, what he's got to be careful doing, what he can get away with. But he's growing too. Trust me, I'm excited to see what he looks like now that we're going into pads too. Oh yeah, look, man. This is where you really find out what's what. Tomorrow, because there's kind of 3 different cycles to it. It's what we're into now and what we have been, the acclimation, which you guys heard me call the pajama warriors. And then you'll have pads, and it's like first day, maybe first 2 days of pads. There'll be some guys that'll show up. And then once you get into the grind of it, you hit second week and you get in about 4 or 5 days of pads. Now you'll find out who's who, So it takes a little bit. It's no different than the guys when you're running sprints. You guys have all been a part of this at some time in your life, and it's like, so I tell you, you're going to run 16 110s, right? And your turnover is 45 seconds, 50 seconds. And you run, and you're coming in on your time, and you're working it, right? And this guy next to you is just, first one, man, he's flying. Second one, he's flying. And then he just kind of, for the next 8, 9, 10, he's back there. And then all of a sudden, man, the last one, he's like, ooh. And it's like, whoa, great job. Well, you've been saving the whole thing. Well, I've been over here doing it every time, pushing myself for the 16, man. You were over there, you got a little tired, and you're preserving your energy for the last one so you look good. That does nothing for anybody. So there'll be some of that. That's my point behind that story. It'll take a while to figure those guys out, but ultimately it does change. This is where you find out who's who, and we get into the physical side of this, and this is where you start to condition the body for the season, because we're not going to be able to do this during the season. And so if you don't get it in now, if you don't condition the body for the pounding that it's getting ready to take over a 17-week period, and hopefully more than that, then you're in trouble.
Pushed it at the very end when you were playing. Did you have it out with them? How'd you handle that?
You're just talking about some of that? Oh, look, kind of like I always do. I just talk trash. That's all I do. I'm just like, I must be nice to preserve your energy to the last one. It's like, it's great how you get in the game and you decide you're going to play, in the fourth quarter when we needed you the first 3. So I just poke at them. That's all I do, and until it pisses them off, and then they want to prove me wrong or tell me to shut up, and then they actually do something better. So that's how I think of it anyway, Dave. there again, this week's going to say a lot. It's going to tell a lot about Logan. We like what's in there. We like his ability. He's somebody that we feel like, look, he's a pup. He just is. He's such a young buck right now, and so he's got a lot of room to grow. But he's got a ways to go too. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so, I think the question for him is how quickly can he get better and develop? And he's getting better, but it's like, man, it's got to come. And these pads are where it's going to start for him. Like, we need to see him be able to drop his weight and get under guys and get movement. And so this will be a huge week for him.
You talked about putting more things on these man's plate as that title has got here.
On whose? I'm sorry.
Deuce Staley.
Yeah.
What kinds of things that we don't see probably is he doing now in this new role?
Yeah, well, there was things that just even in the off season, I had him dealing with, player fines, where some of those things are going to go. I've had him coordinating, as it pertains to projects. Hey, what are the things that we need to be thinking about on Wednesday and Thursday? Like, I know that you have base, you got third down, you got red zone on Friday, but if you were doing those things, how are you going to present those things, Deuce? Set them up a little for me, but then there's going to be days where it's his day. I see him he's getting up in front of the team, and today is third down day, and he's talking about third down and just kind of talking about how we're going to handle things as a team. I think he's doing the officials report. I think that he's going to be up there in front of the team sometimes night before the game, and he's talking about just keys, reminders for that game. Just a number of things in that regard, And Deuce has been great. I kind of put this, even to this point, which is a little bit what I did in New Orleans. Deuce is a guy that carries around his fire extinguisher. That's what he's got in his hip pocket. And so there's things that I won't even know about and don't need to know about, because that's what he does. He's going to put out fires before I have to worry about them or even need to know about them. And so that is invaluable. And that's a little bit of what he does as well. But my point, I plan on using him. I really do. And how far does that go? As far as I can take it, because I want these guys to understand who I am, but I don't want them getting deadhead from listening to me time after time after time. And I think it's great to have somebody else get up there who's got presence about him, particularly like Deuce. He's got knowledge, he's got presence. We'll be on the same page. We think alike. He'll know what I want. And because I think it keeps him engaged too. And it's just a different way of presenting the same message.
You got 3 exhibition games this year instead of 4 in the past 1 hour. Is there going to be any changes that you would normally not do because you would have 4 games to do it? Now you only got 3?
We were talking about this. Dave asked this last week, and it's I go back and forth on it. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on where we're at health-wise when we get there. I can't give you a definitive answer because I really do kind of feel like, well, where are we at as a team? How do we feel about the flow of our team? How's our offense look, defense, special teams? How are we physically? And so, look, my gut tells me we need to play the third preseason game, at least some, the starters. But it's about as good as I can give you right now.
If you're, I want to go back to the offensive line for a second. That first team group is just name after name after name. 3 first-rounders, a Pro Bowler, and Big B with a big contract. And Jonah maybe gets lost in the shuffle when you're talking about that group a little bit. You mentioned year 1, year 2, big jump for guys. So what have you seen specifically from Jonah this first offseason?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. Jonah's one of a handful of guys who's been here since basically I got this job. Been in this building, working like every day. And I bring that up because I've seen him since February. At least seeing him around, know what he's doing. He's been down there with Josh and those guys working out in the weight room, and so I already know what he's all about, and I know the work that he's put in, and I know what his body is able to to put out because we've had our eyes on him, and he's a workaholic. He's hungry. He's smart. And I tell you what, this kid's a leader now. Now it may take a tick to show because he's but this kid is going to be, he's cut from the right cloth, and so yeah, he's sometimes maybe he's quietly the guy that gets a little bit lost, but we're looking for a big year out of him. I think the hard thing with Jonah is sometimes even I forget, listen, he's only going in his second year. He's still, he's not a pup, but yet he's young. He's still growing too. And so I've got to remind myself of that, like, all right, easy now. This is not a 5-year vet. And don't lose sight of that. But yet we have high expectations for him. We do. And I'm glad we got him. I really do.
In looking at the offensive line, Dan, do you feel like that might be one of the position groups that's maybe ahead of some others? Do you look at things in that way?
I do, and I'll tell you why, though, is because just knowing you got Deck, you got Frank, and Jonah, who played a little bit last year. He's still growing, but Big V is an experienced guy, and then certainly Sewell would be the young guy out of that whole crew. But I think when you have particularly 3 guys that have played a lot of football and are pretty good players up front, and they're kind of in their prime, I think that those guys, they learn how to play with each other. So it's one thing that the individual player they are, but knowing that they're able to play with one another and figure things out together, and they kind of cover up for each other if things don't always go right, I think goes a long way. So O-line's always one of those. You can cover up a lot if you learn how to play with one another, even more so than any other position, because those 5 are always in tandem usually. So, yeah, I mean, I do think it's one of the units that can be stronger for us, or is stronger.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.